I'm not a pessimist, but I have a tendency.
Oh, well, you are.
I have a tendency to question. So, I've been watching a lot of Warrior games, and one of the things that Fitz has been saying over the past couple of weeks is, at some point we're going to get Whole. We're going to get Moody back. We're going to get Gary Payton II back and Chris Paul back. So what? Like, seriously, so what?
It's more of we'd rather look at that as
than Podziemski?
No, hold on.
No, let me just
reinforcement, Stoney, than going to get something that really ain't going to help us.
Okay, so
because that player or player are not available. I get it.
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, everybody, do you think that, like, Chris Paul, whose minutes are you going to take?
Oh, no.
He's going to take Podziemski's minutes.
Right.
Podziemski's not going to play as much.
But I will
So is
say
Chris
this.
Paul going to play significantly better than Podziemski has been playing?
I got something for you.
Like, there's no upside I don't get.
There's no doubt. But I would, just like Steve Kerr told Willard and Dibbs yesterday, Stoney, as much as we think that's a problem, that's a good problem to have.
That's
Where
not.
I'm going, I'm a Brandon fan. And I told you, I think guys, good teams pick on him defensively. So if he's going to close as you get further down the road in a playoff game, maybe you need a Chris Paul over a Brandon Podziemski. Not that he can't help you.
Here's
or
what
I'm
I
saying
think.
he can't play D. I'm a fan.
Here's what I
I'm
think.
just saying maybe
I think that's awful. I think it's awful. See, and I think this is exactly where a 22-25 team gets, like, delusional. Okay, so Gary Payton II, whenever he comes back, he taking somebody's minutes. What if it's 6 minutes of Kaminga? You really want that?
No, that can never happen.
Well, it's going to. Like, Chris Paul is going to take Podziemski's minutes. And what I feel like is because their second best player right now is about as good as their ninth best player, because there's no delineation between their second best player and their ninth best player. It's Steph Curry and everybody else.
Well, I would put
that
Kaminga
when Chris Paul comes in for somebody, it's not going to make a difference.
And that's where
there's
I'm going.
no level difference.
And that's where I'm going, partner. I'm letting it all out now. If they're 22-25, and I'm not saying you're throwing a hissy fit, why do you care if he's taking Podziemski's minutes?
Because I'll tell you exactly why. Because I want to see one or the other. You want to go with Chris Paul? Go with Chris Paul. All right, you want to go with Podziemski? Go with Podziemski. Right. But don't give me this. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play Moses Moody 12 to 15 minutes
I hear that.
every other game.
I hear that.
And then sometimes he won't play if Gary Payton makes two corner jumpers.
Well, that's what Klay's doing right now.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, what about Podziemski? Well, Podziemski's been playing 28 minutes a game, but now he's only going to play 11. But Chris Paul's going to play, but we're not going to be a title contender. That's where I think this thing is off the track.
I appreciate the honesty.
In a big way.
And I'll say this about that. If you're right, Stoney, that's exactly what happened to Jonathan Kaminga's ass last year.
It's not a great problem to have.
When Wiggins came back and all the minutes went down, that you can't tell. No excuses. You go out and play and make the most of whatever they ask you to do. But there's no doubt, man. So
I'd move Chris Paul yesterday if I could.
All right,
and just play Podziemski.
But let me ask you this. So the state of the Warriors falls on who?
Dunleavy.
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
no, and I love Mike. He's been good to us.
And Lacob.
But
Lacob, too.
You know what?
To me, Lacob more than Dunleavy.
We could be prejudging, Stoney. We got a day left. We got a day and some change for the – like my buddy Squirt just texted me. He would make that deal for Wiggins, for Portis, and who was the other? He would do that in a heartbeat. Like, I like Bobby Portis, but you're smiling.
I'm smiling because, I think Bobby Portis could get to the Warriors and not be very good. I mean, here's the thing. And you might say, well, what are you getting at? Like things can be true. You can change. Andrew Wiggins, if you're telling me that you need Andrew Wiggins to be Andrew Wiggins of 2 years ago, right?
I know that's a talk. Go ahead.
So if you trade him for Bobby Portis, then you have no chance. Then, because Because Andrew Wiggins 2 years ago was better than Bobby Portis has ever been in his entire career.
But I'm
as
telling
good as
you,
Portis
I
has
think
been as a
Jonathan
sixth man.
Kaminga's emergence has made Andrew Wiggins expendable to where you could go, all right, what you used to do, we got that covered with Kaminga. Now we can get something we didn't have even when we had Wiggins, and that could be some bruiser, a guy that could hit the three-pointer every now and again, Bobby Portis. So I wouldn't be flabbergasted if that were to happen, Statty. I'm just telling you the emergence of Jonathan Kaminga to me has made Andrew Wiggins almost like not expendable because I want it to work, but they kind of cancel each other out, man. And if you could get something different, we'll see. But Stoney, and I know, listen to everybody that's talking, Steve Kerr, nothing's happening.
I don't know that nothing's happening. I mean, I guess I'd have to bet that nothing would happen just because. I mean,
but I go to sleep at night, and I'd
love. Tell me what happens in your fantasy
Evan don't
land.
know this is the conversation on the way to the Oakland
when you
airport.
Close your eyes, how do you envision the Warriors winning a title this year and next?
I'm gonna, and Evan don't know this, Donnie. I'm telling you, I feel like something is going. Like they're playing. They're not winning the games, but I see something that could, if with more water and fertilizer by April. I don't.
What do you have in April?
A team you don't want to see.
Nah, that's not good enough. No. That's not good enough. You need to be more specific with a team you don't want to see. Like a team you don't want to see. They finished 7th. They want to play in. Then they lost in 7 games in the first round. They gave Denver 6 games in the first round. Like, is that good enough?
I mean, from this point, because that would be a win. If the Warriors made the playoffs after the play-in and won a series. With everything that's popped off, that would be a W.
See, and I'm over the, and maybe this is,
to me,
this is how we view things. So it's like, okay, we won it 2 years ago. It's 2 years ago. Yeah. Last year we were a 44-win team, and we made it to the second round.
Yep.
Where we had a tough 7-game series in the first.
Like dog stuff.
And we were handled in the second. Like, I would have to be realistic about everything.
All right.
Okay, now we're 22-25. All right, I'm Mike Dunleavy, and I don't like anything we see out there. Okay, so then I go, Joe, we got nothing out here that we think's going to make us better. Okay, so fine. Guess what? Let's keep playing. That's
from a Mike standpoint, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't like that. You put this out there.
Put what out there?
Chris Paul. You thought he was going to like. You know I don't like.
You know what?
I'm not
sorry.
saying you're saying
Joe,
Mike is off the hook.
No,
but
Joe,
I'm like, damn.
I blame Joe.
I get you don't like it, but you went and bought these groceries. Now you saying the
That's why it's Joe Lacob. That's why Joe Lacob is above my. To me, Joe Lacob has never been.
I appreciate that.
He's always been clear. It's his team, and the bottom line is this: we don't know why Draymond was extended. We don't know who that was. We don't know how much of it was Bob, if any. We don't know how much of it was Joe, if any. We don't know how much was Steph, Dunleavy.
Well, we know they had a dinner.
So all I know is when you go from Bob Myers to Mike Dunleavy, guess what? I look at it as the last year of Myers or two and the first year of Dunleavy too, it's Joe Lacob.
Wow. All right.
It's Joe Lacob. So when I say, hey, Steiny, who gets response? Well, I guess you got to give it to Dunleavy, but you know what? No, we all know Joe Lacob gave the contract extension to Draymond Green. Like he had to.
Man.
So that's him. That's him. So if I'm Mike Dunleavy and I'm talking to Joe and we look at each other and we both say, you know what, neither of us think there's a deal out there that's going to make us better short-term, long-term. Okay. Now what do? Well, we play out the rest of the year. Clearly.
Right.
Okay. Clearly, we have to talk about what we think. Hey, Mike, Joe, what do you think's going to happen if you play out the rest of the year? Steiny, what do you think's going to happen? You know, I think you're going to be about a 500 team. I think if things click, you'll be 44 wins. But I can't see us winning more than a round. Okay. Then you have to be prepared. Okay, then what are you going to do then? If we don't make a move and we end up that team, Steiny, you're right. We go 42 and 40. Now what do?
You got 2 eggs in your basket.
Who?
One is Chris Paul saying night-night to that, and then the other is Klay Thompson. And I'm telling you this, if this doesn't improve his play, I think Klay is playing his way out of Joe Lacob saying, you know what? Here's 2 for what was it, 48 or whatnot. So those are the 2 eggs you have in your basket.
So if you lose them, how are you getting better?
I don't know.
You can't sign anybody.
Okay,
like you don't have that money.
I understand that. Oh, but what is that getting you now? 22 and 25.
So are you
both of those guys?
But are you never going to think about it? Like I'd be thinking, like, they should have thought about what they were thinking about doing with Chris Paul the day he was acquired.
But it sounds like they overthought about what they had, Stoney, and I think Joe Lacob never thought in a million years at this juncture of the season they would be 22 and 25. We saw.
Well, then I'll say it. Then I'll say it again, and I'd say it to his face. Then he's an idiot, because any rational person who's watched the NBA for decades and decades and decades and decades could have looked at this Warrior team and said, hey, Steiny, you think it's within the realm of possibility they could be 500 team, maybe a little worse, 45?
I called you crazy.
Yes, of course it's within the realm of possibility. Why, Steiny? Well, first of all, they're old. Secondly, their best players are getting worse. Third, you're asking Steph Curry to play at a superhuman level, and while he's been better than we've all thought, he's not the player he was 4 years ago, so we have a little less wiggle.
But give me the Kaminga leap, though, Stoney, because that's the best thing that happened on the season. I didn't think he could jump to whatever you want to say he is now, 28 and 10. Right. That is a positive. So
has he done it? See, this is the thing.
I'm not saying he's Jordan.
But this is.
He ain't on that problem list.
This is what pisses me off. Jonathan Kaminga has been in the league 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
And conventional wisdom is it's taken him so long. Why did Kerr not play him? How come Kerr can't see it? Kerr can't develop. And I am saying Jonathan Kaminga, after 2.5 years in the NBA for having no experience, has actually developed better than anyone should have expected. To my way of thinking, having watched the NBA as long as I've watched, and seeing Jonathan Kaminga, who didn't even know how to play basketball. He didn't even know how to play basketball. He didn't play organized basketball. And for Jonathan Kaminga to get drafted by a team like the Warriors, who are a championship team, I would say, you know what? Kaminga and the Warriors they've been unbelievable in Kaminga's development. 2.5 years? He has actually made unbelievable strides in 2.5 years. And now, you know what? Now he's starting to put up numbers. Guess what? The next step for Kaminga is, now can you start putting up these kind of numbers more in the context of winning, of team basketball? We know you can get your numbers. You can get 25 and 10. But you know what? When you've been getting 25 and 10, it's not your fault, but we were 7 and 9. In those, can you start getting 25 and 10, doing some more so we go 9 and 7? Maybe we can go 10 and 6. So Kaminga has gone from not getting an opportunity to now he's played 15 games and people want him to be like a number one on a championship team. That's going to take a lot of time.
Okay. I hear you talking. I'm going to just say this, and I don't care. I know for a fact we didn't know if Jonathan Kaminga was going to be traded at earlier this season. My thing to you is, if this thing is as bad as you think it is, it's bigger than one guy. And if you are looking at it across the table and telling me you don't think Jonathan Kaminga could be a 1 or a 2 on a good team, then all you got to get your pot of gold is to see what you could get for Jonathan Kaminga. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's what we're talking about. If you want to not shock the world, if you want to get some different good groceries in here, Stoney, it's going to take him, and you got to bet.
How long? Let me ask you this. Ask me if Kaminga can be a 1 or can
Kaminga be a 1 or a 2 on a good team?
I think he might be able to be
this is already a change from you. So
he might be able to be a 2 on a pretty good team.
Okay, so he's off limits.
But not for another 3 to 5 years.
Okay, I got you.
Like he's got so much.
Well, so what if you can parlay him into 2 guys that are seasoned? And, obviously they have to put something with. Would you entertain that?
I would.
That describes Jonathan Kaminga is not untouchable.
But who's that player?
That's the $1 million question.
Who would you trade Jonathan Kaminga for right now? See, that's the other thing why this thing's off the track. It's like, you know what? Kaminga, maybe he could be the second best player on a really good team. Well, guess what? Steph won't be the first bet. Wow. Like, he can't get there in time for Steph Curry. So the timing got all effed up when the Warriors took 3 projects. I'm going to say it. When they took 3 projects in the middle of a dynasty. Wiseman, Kaminga, and Moody, who only had 1 year.
Well, the Niners did it and hit
3 projects.
Yeah, the Niners took, no,
they didn't.
Well, they took 2, to be honest.
Right.
Trey Lance was a project. You know what I mean?
Who's the Warriors' Brock Purdy?
No, that's it.
Thank you.
And that's why the Niners, you know how they've gotten so lucky, Matt. The Niners.
I can say they drafted well.
Damn.
Let's go to Austin.
Can we really, real quick, can we really say that if Trey Lance didn't work out? Because you'll never get those draft picks back, but you got a quarterback. So,
well, would you rather he not have?
No, I'd give you all that.
The difference between having Purdy and not might be the difference between getting fired.
Let's see what Austin got.
Austin in San Jose. What's up, Austin?
What's up, baby?
Hey, fellas. Man, love the back and forth. Gurus, as always, is Mr. Optimistic. Steiny, I don't always agree with you, but today, man, I got to say,
wow,
you're right on with Klay Thompson. You nailed it. This notion that Klay is going to change, I think, is ridiculous. What made Klay who he is the fact that he didn't. He is stubborn. So you're not going to get Klay to change. I think the reality is that the Warriors are going to have to be honest with Klay and try to move him to some place where maybe he can come off the bench and be a 6th man. But he's not going to ever go to the point of accepting a lesser role on a team that he starred on. I mean, think about that.
Well, that's a great point.
No doubt, Austin.
That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
What's that?
No doubt.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Go ahead.
Well, I'm agreeing with Steiny. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to sell that to a guy that was a star on the team. I think it's much easier for him to go somewhere else
no doubt,
and accept a lesser role off the bench. So that's my thing. Hey, and Guru, one last thing, man. Enjoy yourself in Vegas. And also, I want to thank you for sending the Commanders 2 coaches that are going to help us knock you guys off.
I don't know about that. I don't know. All right. I hear you.
Yeah, Austin, interesting point about Klay Thompson.
We all agree on Klay. Like, I just said that before Austin called, Steiny. Well, it's just hard for him to take the different version of himself on a team that he built.
Right, and this is where I would say, what about Tim Duncan? Why could Tim Duncan do it? Why could Manu Ginobili do it?
Right, but he's not Tim Duncan. His name is Klay Thompson.
That's right.
And he's showing
Tim Duncan was twice the player.
He's having a problem with that adjustment.
What I'm saying, right. So that is a character flaw. Like when we say, well,
to what degree? Well, why would you want him back right now if this doesn't get better? And I'm not throwing shade.
I don't want him back. But the point is there have been great players who are willing to do what Klay right now is not willing to do. So hold it against him. Hold it against him. That's a flaw.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
I feel bad for the dude, man. Like, this has nothing to do with Guy Santos.
No, it has to do with
it was just
beat Tim Duncan and Ginobili.
Yeah,
don't beat Carmelo Anthony.
Okay, well, then I hear you.
Well, fine. That's and you know what? And I'm not even done with Klay. Yeah. Like, I actually don't rule it out.
On my team.
How many minutes a game?
If I were the Lakers, he would play 30 minutes a game. Give me some other teams that need shift, the Sixers, that need shift there. I watch NBA every day. Klay Thompson, if he got with the right cast of characters.
So now Klay Thompson is not shooting well because he's not getting the shots or whatever.
I'm saying he's not getting the space in Steiny that he used to get here.